Almost everyone hates Netflix's Queen Cleopatra series. They are getting sued over it, the series could be banned in Egypt over its historical revisionism, and the actress has locked her Twitter over the backlash she's faced. But now that it's been out for a few days, plus the Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb scores are settled, it appears to have one of the worst audience scores in TV history. I have a few different things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content that I create, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on social media like Twitter or mine so that you can see when my content is posted. And of course, if you do really enjoy the videos and the live streams that I create, please consider becoming a Dark Titan via Patreon or a supporter via YouTube memberships. So I wanted to start off with this Forbes article. Netflix's Queen Cleopatra appears to have the worst audience score in TV history. Now, I can't really say that I'm all that surprised because leading up to the release of this show, there was massive backlash. Months ago when we saw the first teasers and trailers, it looked like it was going to be a nightmare for Netflix because people were instantly upset that they decided, of course, to cast a black actress as Cleopatra. And it's not like it is a, fictional story that happens to take some of the names of historical figures, but it's mostly a dramatized version of their lives. No, they do have acted out, scenes, right? But it's supposed to be a docu-series. They are trying to present everything to you in this as fact, even though most of it is very far from the truth. It says, while I had heard about the controversy surrounding the docu-series Queen Cleopatra, I hadn't been tracking it much since it was actually released a few days ago. It was number 6 in Netflix's top 10 list, and I don't think I've seen it go all that much higher since then. It has not gone higher than number 5, and it has dropped to number 7 on the top 10 list, actually. So things are not holding up for Netflix, but it says the show has done something I didn't think was even possible. It is not just the lowest audience score in Netflix history, it has essentially the lowest audience score possible on Rotten Tomatoes, a 1%, not a 10%, but a 1%, but it actually ticked up to a 2%. But still, 1% isn't going to change much. I mean, these are the lowest audience scores possible on Rotten Tomatoes, and it has been very quickly dropping on IMDb. There aren't many critic reviews in, but those are low as well, with the show sitting at a 13%, and the critic score is actually an 11% now. And I think that there are not a lot of critic scores, primarily because the critics are afraid. When we see series like this release, where clearly they decided to race swap Cleopatra, and they decided to hire a lot of black actors and actresses to promote the series, these critics do not want to be called racist, and these critics do not want to go against a giant company like Netflix, because if they go against Netflix and they piss them off, for the next major series they release, they might not get early access to it. That is why I almost never believe critic scores, because they rate things absurdly high because they're afraid of losing that status they have with these companies. But in this case, they're again, are not a lot of critics reviewing it, but at the same time, the scores are very, very low. They did not hold back with their reviews, but the audience score being at 2% isn't very surprising. Again, months before release, people were fighting back against this series, and I figured the scores would be low. Honestly, I didn't think they'd be this low, though. I thought maybe like a 20 to a 25, because leading up to release, it did seem like there were quite a lot of people on, Twitter and social media who were defending it, saying it's okay because, I believe Queen Cleopatra was actually a darker skinned female and this would be good to see on screen, but those people clearly did not show up. And looking on IMDb, the score is currently sitting at a 1.1 out of 10, and IMDb had, of course, like Rotten Tomatoes, not allowed people to leave scores for the first day that the show was up, hoping that more people would watch it before they rated it. And while I'm sure there are some reviews here of people who were just upset who didn't watch it, I mean, there's 38,000 1,000 reviews, helping hit a 1.1. So clearly most of them are real. This also has to be one of the lowest rated series and pieces of content on IMDb. There are not a lot of cohesive lists showing like the lowest rated pieces of content on services like IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, but I mean, clearly they are definitely in the top percent of the worst. It says, though, that I've never seen anything like this, not with bad shows, not with politically controversial shows prone to review bombing, never this bad, not in Netflix history, honestly, not even in TV history, at least with this many reviews in, over 1,000 on RT. And yeah, I mean, clearly people are not happy with their historical revisionism, because again, it's not a dramatized version of her life that changes things around. They present everything to you as fact, but they don't have a lot of facts in this. Cleopatra was a Macedonian Greek, and there is no actual evidence suggesting she was black. The primary items that started this theory were Renaissance art that depicted her with darker skin, but it was refuted because none of the artists were eyewitnesses, and of course people have questioned who her mother really was, but we do know that her father and mother were both children of the same father, one of a wife and one of a concubine, and yes, the Ptolemy family tree is complicated, but they tended to marry each other, so again, there's not really a lot to speculate with her mother. The article ends off with comparing some numbers like the Resident Evil adaptation from Netflix. It scored a 22% with fans, one of the lowest they'd ever seen on the service. That was low compared to the other high-profile Netflix misses, like Jupiter's Legacy with a 73, Space Force with a 77, Resident Evil Infinite Darkness with a 39. Fans usually rate things higher than critics, even bad shows, and that point being, a 1% audience score seems borderline mathematically impossible, even with the controversy the film has attracted. I think this whole situation is hilarious. People like Jada Pinkett Smith, Adele James, even Netflix deserved to get absolutely obliterated over this series. They thought everyone was going to eat it up and absolutely love it, and we haven't. People have revolted against it because of what it does, because of the way that they portray this historical figure, and they honestly do deserve what they're getting, and now it appears that Queen Cleopatra has the worst audience score in TV history. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed this and of course found it important and informative, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.